The rain had been coming down in sheets that night, drowning the abandoned mining colony in mud and silence. Lucas Arden was 23, fresh out of his service contract with the Planetary Defense Corps, and already trying to figure out what to do with a life that seemed to stretch long and empty in front of him. He had settled on the edge of the broken settlement, making use of a half-collapsed warehouse for shelter. It wasn't much, but it was dry, and after years of orders and battles, silence was almost a blessing. That was when he found them. Two little girls, huddled in the shadow of the collapsed fusion tower, clutching each other like drowning sailors on wreckage. They were filthy, starved, eyes too large for their thin faces. Lucas had seen too much of that look before, on refugee children, on the survivors of burned colonies. He knelt slowly, careful not to startle them. "You'll freeze if you stay out here," he said softly, pulling the edge of his jacket open. "Come on. I've got food." They hesitated, suspicious like feral animals. But hunger overcame fear. The older one, maybe 7 years old, stepped forward first, dragging the younger along. They followed him into the warehouse, where he lit a small fire in a barrel and dug into his rations. He gave them most of what he had left that night. When they finally spoke, their voices were small. "My name is Sarah," the older girl whispered, keeping an arm around the younger. "This is Lyra." Lucas nodded. "I'm Lucas. You're safe now." They didn't believe him at first. But over the weeks he made it true. Years of quiet. The months turned into years. Lucas never asked too much about where they had come from. It was clear enough that they had been abandoned after the mines shut down, their parents gone or dead. He worked odd jobs across the nearby settlements, enough to keep the three of them fed. Slowly, the haunted look left their eyes. Sarah grew into a fierce, stubborn girl who never backed down from a challenge. Lyra was gentler, more curious, forever asking questions about the stars and the stories Lucas told her of his time in the Defense Corps. They were family, though none of them said the word aloud. Sometimes Lucas wondered if he should have taken them to an official shelter, registered them with the interstellar relief agencies. But every time the thought arose, he saw the way Sarah clung to his sleeve when strangers came near, or the way Lyra hid behind him at the sight of patrols. He couldn't bring himself to risk losing them to bureaucracy. Instead, he built a life. It wasn't much, repairs, scavenging, farming scraps, but it was theirs. The day the sky opened. It had been nearly 10 years since that rain-soaked night. Lucas was 33 now, hair touched with gray at the temples. Sarah was 17, Lyra 16. They were no longer helpless children but young women, strong in their own ways, and Lucas couldn't be prouder of them. The day began like any other. Lucas was repairing the water recycler while Sarah argued with a trader over grain prices, and Lyra sketched a design for some kind of makeshift transmitter. That was when the ground trembled. Everyone looked up. The clouds tore apart as a shadow blotted out the sun. A spaceship, sleek, silver, far beyond anything the locals could afford, descended toward the settlement. Its hull gleamed with the insignia of a royal crest, one Lucas didn't recognize but knew enough to respect. The entire settlement froze in awe and terror. Royalty never came to places like this. The ship landed with a hiss of steam. Ramp lowered. From it stepped a procession of armored guards, their weapons gleaming. And at their head, a tall woman clad in royal regalia, her presence radiating authority. The crowd scattered in fear, but Lucas stood firm, pushing Sarah and Lyra gently behind him. He didn't know why, but the way the guard's eyes swept over the crowd, then fixed on him, set every instinct on edge. The woman approached. She was not young, though her bearing was ageless, her hair braided with silver bands. Her eyes locked on Lucas with something strange, something almost like recognition. "Kneel," one of the guards barked. Lucas didn't. Old habits from the Corps kept him still, chin high, though his pulse thundered. "Why are you here?" he asked evenly. The royal woman raised a hand, silencing her guard. Her gaze flicked past him to Sarah and Lyra. For the first time her composure cracked. "It is you," she breathed. At last, the truth revealed. The settlement whispered around them as the woman stepped closer. She looked at Lucas not as a stranger, but as a man she owed something to. "You don't recognize them, do you?" she asked. Lucas frowned. "I recognize the girls I've raised for 10 years. That's enough." The woman's lips curved in a bittersweet smile. "Not girls. Heirs." The crowd gasped. Even Sarah and Lyra froze. The woman continued. "I am Queen Meilira of House Valen. The mines here once belonged to our dynasty, until war forced us to abandon them. In the chaos, my nieces, children of the royal line, were lost. We searched for years, believing them dead." Her eyes shone as she looked at Sarah and Lyra. "But they lived. Because of you." Lucas felt the world tilt. He turned to the girls. Their faces were pale, stunned. Lyra shook her head. That can't be true." "It is," Queen Meilira said softly. "You are daughters of my late brother. Blood of the crown." The girls staggered back. Sarah's fists clenched. "And where were you when we were starving?" she demanded. The queen flinched but didn't deny it. "War claimed everything. We failed you. But this man," she looked at Lucas with something like reverence, "this man preserved our future." Choice of path. The guards moved to escort the girls, but Sarah stood her ground, glaring. "We're not leaving without him." Lyra nodded, eyes wide with fear and hope all tangled together. "Lucas is our family. If we go, he goes." The queen studied Lucas for a long moment. "You understand what this means. If you come with us, your life will never be simple again. You will be tied to the crown, to politics, to danger. Do you accept that?" Lucas glanced at the girls. No, not girls anymore. Young women, royal blood or not, still the children he had promised to protect that rainy night. His answer was easy. "Where they go, I go." Life anew among stars. The days that followed were a blur. The settlement whispered of miracles as the royal ship carried Lucas, Sarah, and Lyra away. They traveled across star systems, escorted by fleets, until they reached the glittering core world of Valen Prime. Sarah and Lyra were swept into a whirlwind of ceremony, crowned as princesses of the realm. They struggled, of course. Palaces were colder than warehouses, and courtiers far more treacherous than traders. But Lucas was always there, steady as a rock. Though he had no noble title, the queen herself decreed him guardian of the heirs. His word carried weight equal to any advisor, for none could deny he had kept the princesses alive when the galaxy had abandoned them. At night, when the ceremonies ended, Lucas sat with Sarah and Lyra in the quiet of the palace gardens. They laughed, they argued, they remembered the little warehouse that had once been home. And though the galaxy now bowed to them, they never let go of the man who had once shared his last ration pack on a stormy night.